ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Napoleon. But, of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up?
This was an easy one this week.
Yeah, I guess it has a kind of similar cadence to it. Napoleon Nathaniel. Same amount of syllables? Someone clap it out. That's for you listeners at home.
Napoleon Nathaniel. It's close. I didn't count, but sounds about right.
Fair enough. But yeah.
How did someone like, what are like the syllables and the clapping thing? How does that like work? There's got to be something in your brain that's just like, I don't know. It always lines up. Yeah. Do we like do it ourselves? I don't know.
That's tempo. Like humans have natural meter to them as well too. Generally, like we like music, we like rhythm. So the speaking in cadence, like you will naturally have beats to it, and I mean that's part of syllables to begin with. But in terms of the clapping,
master's degree thing to say right there. I get it, Nathaniel. Chill.
Sorry, I don't know, man. You were asking.
No, you're good.
You were asking why we're doing it. I was just thinking.
It was just funny. Also joining us today, of course, is Waterloo Tyler Verdalis.
Hello.
How are you doing today, sir? You broke up a little bit. Is that you breaking up, or is that your voice being raspy? Are you okay?
I think it was just my voice just kind of like turning on.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, just like I haven't talked in like a minute, so it's just like, hey, whoa, that's new.
Gotta get the engine going.
That's like the worst thing is like if someone calls you.
Yeah, it just feels like
in the morning. in the morning, and then like you're just kind of groggy and you haven't maybe even said much yet, and then you're just like hello, and they're like, did I just wake you up? It's like, oh shit. Because it's either they did just wake you up and you gave yourself away, or they didn't wake you up and now you gotta apologize.
No, that's where you do
like, I don't know why.
The time old no, I just haven't had my coffee yet. You know, the voice isn't active.
Right.
True.
But yes,
happens to me often.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm a morning person though, so
it's true.
I'm not. Let me tell you, dude.
I'm a morning person.
I'm so tired. Getting up every day at like 7 to get to work by 9. I'm so tired. I don't know how anyone does this.
So is that like were you normally like a fucking 2 a.m. 3 a.m.
Yeah, of course he
guy?
is. Look at him. Look at him.
Like sometimes I forget talking to him and I realize that he was in college 9 months ago.
Yeah.
It's been.
And he's been that way since he was a kid. He was a gamer.
Yeah, of course, right. It's hard for you to put it into perspective. He's never.
That's
like,
just how I've always been. I don't know.
You didn't have those 5 a.m. tennis practices or whatever that you had to wake up for like time periods?
No, we never had tennis practices after school.
See, I feel like that's
before school, only after school.
I feel like that's where
baseball did.
Gets beaten into us. It's like you gotta get up early for sports practice all the time.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's still just
the baseball team did, but the tennis team never did.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's still why I'm a morning person. Then obviously like you just compound that now with just like work and being an everyday adult. But I was always like, dude, like I'm up at like 6 a.m. like no matter what I'm doing.
I will say, like, I love being up early. I feel like I have so much of the day. Yeah, so much more productive. I feel like a better person, when I don't wake up. I'm not going to give myself away too much, but don't wake up after, let's say, 10 a.m. And that could be a lot of different things.
What time were you waking up? Like 1:30?
It could be a lot of different things. I mean, I've had those days consistently though. Like on my average morning, I'm waking up between 10 and 11.
Damn,
I mean,
bro.
that's
Oh my god, yeah.
At least that's what was happening.
Okay.
And like, yeah.
See, I've always been.
I don't even know the
when I
last
don't have to
time
be
I
up for
woke up.
anything.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, that's the time I would wake up when I don't have to be up for anything. Like, I can get up earlier, but all that, but
Yeah.
that was the average time.
What were you gonna say, Nathaniel?
I could never sleep past 10 or something like that. Like,
Oh my god!
I'll just
for sure.
my brain, like, I was either the person that like I could get up at 5 o'clock or whatever, but I would still be in bed by 11. Like, I would just not sleep as much rather than be like so thrown off on other sides. Now that I'm older, though, I'm just fucked. Like, I can't do any of that anymore.
Yeah. No, I'm with you too, dude. I can't even tell you the last time I slept past like. It's probably like 9:30. I would damn near have to pull like an all-nighter for me to even do something like that. Even if I stayed up to like a 2 a.m. or something like that, I think I would still wake up by at least like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Same thing.
You say that. You guys say that.
Yeah. You're not too far from it, Adam. Chat to me in about
my body in less than a month, my body, I'm like already on my days off, like already waking up at like 8:30, 9 without alarms, and that's never happened to me before.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is all alarms too.
Yeah, without alarms is the thing. Where like I'll wake up before my alarm in the morning now, and I'm just like, I hate this. Like, just let me sleep.
No, I've grown to love that. I have like last minute alarms of like nowadays. I'm like, as long as I'm up before my like my 9:30 alarm or whatever, or my 9 o'clock alarm, then I'm like, I'm good. So now that I wake up, always between 7 and 8:45, it's kind of like, hey, I don't even have to worry about it too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel for sure. I got one as like precautionary measures if I like miss anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But for the most part, I'll wake up no matter what.
Exactly. And I think that's maturity, folks. I think that's growth.
You saying I'm immature?
No, not at all.
I don't know. I also just, as much as I'm like I love getting up in the morning and having a productive day. I also I do like staying up late. I don't know. There's something about it. Just the quiet.
Yeah, that's true.
Just chilling. Not a lot going on.
Nobody can ask you for anything. It's like
nothing. Yeah, exactly, man.
So you can get that too, though. You just gotta start waking up at 5 a.m. and then
very true too. That's the other end.
Right. I just got a full pull in the other direction.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's what you get from those early morning practices. You wake up at 5, you're like, God, not even God is up yet. Like, I'm the only man conscious right now.
Yeah. I've gone through 2 short stretches in my life where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up and go to the gym at 6 a.m. or like 5:30 a.m. And I've done it for probably like a few weeks in a row where I've gone like 4 or 5 days at like 5 or 6 a.m. and I could just never sustain it. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah, it's hard. That's something like I because of playing sports, I have to go to the gym in the evening after work. Or even like late at night at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I cannot do 5 and 6 a.m. I did it for so long. That shit just like PTSD, dude. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
I am also the opposite. I can absolutely get up. Like my best routine for working out is when I'm up at like 5 a.m.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, that's still the mode for me too. Anyway,
I will say those morning workouts, getting them out of the way in the morning.
It does get your day started though.
It does.
It's definitely
look up. It's 8 o'clock and you feel amazing.
Right. And like when you get off work, you don't have to worry about the gym. You don't have to worry about that 1.5 to 2 hours where like that whole process,
It's definitely the way to go in my mind if you can. Like if you're not a person that gets up with coffee or something like that, exercise is still the best way to just get waking up in the morning, get your brain going.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyways, we're off track early here.
It's all good.
Per usual.
It's been a while since we got the squad.
Of course.
Yeah, we've got the full squad.
Yeah.
So celebrate.
Welcome back, big Bonaparte BlakeHolder.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Does it feel like a long time for you? Yeah, does it feel like a long time?
It does.
Yeah, because we talk about it. When we take 1 week off, it's like, oh man, coming back does feel like a while before we've done this because we're so used to doing it once a week that I can't imagine it's been 3 weeks for you. I don't know if any of us have taken a 3-week break from recording.
Well, I think it's been
It's 2. You're thrown off
2.
because we recorded late last week.
We, but I thought
because you guys recorded on Saturday, right?
we did, didn't we? Okay,
Friday.
but it's
Friday.
only been 2 weeks since. Okay,
Yeah. You also went through a Black Friday in between there, bro. We get it. You lived a lot in a little
I'm
space.
all out of whack.
Yeah.
And I was in Colombia. I'm all
we
out
had
of whack.
Thanksgiving,
my
bro.
My time dilation's all out of whack.
It's
so
all
you
good.
know
It's
what?
all
It
good.
could have been only been 2.
Yeah. So
I've been waking up at 7 a.m. I don't know what's going on. Okay,
You're a different guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming at me fast. But yeah, man. How was Jamaica? How was your Thanksgiving? How was all that?
Yeah, man, it was good. So spent 8 days in Jamaica with the fam. So we did a family vacation with my extended family. So that was like first time ever. That was cool. Like aunts, uncles, cousins.
How big is your extended family?
I mean, it wasn't my entire extended family, but this vacation
right.
was 8 of us.
Okay.
So pretty big. And a little interesting, like doing that as an adult. You know, I was like, I think 8 days maybe too much in my opinion. But nonetheless, it was cool. Really just ate some food, had some drinks with parents, cousins, brothers, aunts, uncles, just sat at the beach all day. Like, couldn't complain at all. You know, it was 85 degrees, sunny. The food was awesome in Jamaica. I've always loved Jamaican food. That's one of like my favorite cuisines, up there with like Asian cuisine. So I'm always like a big like jerk chicken guy, rice and peas, oxtail, things of that nature. So that's pretty much all I was eating. So that was awesome. Resort was nice. Everybody was friendly. Weather was good. Rained on and off a little bit. It's definitely a Caribbean tropical climate. So it's one of those where like it rains for like an hour
every day.
It's sunny.
Yeah.
So one of those things. But overall, awesome and a good vacation. It was cool to kind of do something like that with my parents obviously getting older in age. Me, my brother.
You've been there before,
cousins.
right? That wasn't your first time?
No, that was the first time to Jamaica.
Oh,
first
okay.
time to Jamaica.
That's cool.
But yeah, cool to do stuff like that as as my parents are getting older. Then also like cousins, we're all relatively the same age, but like none of us have children, so it's like it's easy to do those things.
Right.
5 years from now, that's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's probably one of those first time and last time. So it was cool.
Nice.
Oh man,
glad you're back.
Yeah, man. It was long, and then the following week I couldn't record. That was the Black Friday week. Then I was on traveling for work. So within like a 24-hour time frame, I went from like Jamaica, 88 degrees on the beach, to like fucking middle of nowhere, like Nebraska. And it was fucking terrible. So
it was whiplash for sure.
Yeah, man, that was tough. And it was very like middle America.
Yeah.
You see some interesting people. Like we were talking about going down south and like the backwoods, like down south. Like very like rural, low income, like Mississippi, Alabama. You see some strange people. You see the same thing when you're in like Nebraska and Kansas.
Yep.
All of Florida, basically.
Florida.
Most of the country that is not,
I guess so. Like
that is not 50. Man.
City.
But when you're not 50 miles close or in the radius of like a big city, that's just how it is.
Yeah. So huge change of scenery for
it is, man.
24 hours, but it was cool.
That's wild. Travel.
Yeah. Was in New Mexico, so like knocked off a state for the first time.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, there you go. I like doing that.
Yeah, contributed.
I got a lot left.
Economy. Went to a gas station, bought a Snickers and a honey bun. You know what I mean? So it was all good.
Just in Albuquerque, like flying through Santa Fe.
No. So we had to drive to somewhere in like rural Texas that felt like straight out of the fucking Texas chainsaw.
Yeah. So that's not even like the cool part of New Mexico. That was just flat.
Yeah, it was just flat.
Yeah,
it was totally flat. I forgot the name of the city.
Those are the days. Like, there's still parts of the desert out there where like you could walk 5 miles off the road, scream, and no one is going to hear you.
Oh yeah,
there's no one
there
within a 50-mile radius of you.
Yeah. Yep. It was interesting, man. But like I said, cool to knock off another state. don't know when I'll ever go back to New Mexico.
Well, if you
Might
do go
never
back,
happen.
may I recommend some of the more mountainous regions because it is a very pretty state, but there's
Okay.
very much some bullshit areas for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Like any place.
So I'm sure that's near like Albuquerque though, right? Which isn't that like southwest?
Yeah, a
the
little
state,
bit of
right?
of where you would have been for sure. But anywhere in kind of like the Albuquerque and then up closer to the Four Corners by like Colorado, Nevada, no, what is it? Utah, Arizona, New
Okay.
Mexico, Colorado.
Yeah.
That's really
Okay.
really cool country for sure.
Cool. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm sure you guys all recapped it, right? But just checking on everybody. How is everybody else doing?
Good, man.
Chill.
Yeah, I'm getting over
We've seen each other a decent amount because of the store, so
Right.
we've caught up.
I'm getting over a little head cold that's going around for everyone, but other than that, I'm good. Should we talk about the movie?
Good, dude.
Good to hear. Let's do it.
I'm down. Well, with all that being said, welcome listeners to the main review segment here at Back Row Banter. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how our review segment works?
What up, folks? If you're new or maybe you've just forgotten, how the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie's IMDb page, who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all that good stuff. We'll go around the quadrant, decide if we would recommend the movie. It has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And then from then on, it'll be spoiler time. We'll play a spoiler noise. If you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, go ahead and check the show notes. But even if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, make sure you come back and listen to where we rank it up on our entropy list and the rest of our episode. So, Adam, tell me about Napoleon.
I would love to. This is a new movie, of course, rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 38 minutes. Directed, or I can't see the IMDb rating of 6.7 out of 10. That's what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Directed, of course, by Ridley Scott. Written by David Scarpa. Now, is he who does a lot of Ridley Scott stuff? Do they work together often? Is that what it is?
Not sure.
Or I'm trying to see. Oh, David Scarpa has not done a ton. The Man in the High Castle was his last writing credit. Okay. Well, noted. Anyway, the cast includes Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby. Are there any other big names I need to mention here? I'm not seeing a ton I recognize, and of course, those are the two lead characters and lead actors and actresses, or actress and actor. Nathaniel, are you looking? Do you see any other ones?
I'd say Rupert Everett as the Duke of Wellington would be kind of the other big one, but yeah,
that's who I saw as well.
That's definitely going to be kind of your two mains in this one.
Yeah, I would say more, but it's just like where do you stop? Because there's so many characters, not any one of them gets a particularly significant portion of screen time. So I think I'm just gonna leave it there. The IMDb summary, of course, reads as follows: an epic that details the checkered rise and fall of French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte and his relentless journey to power through the prism of his addictive, volatile relationship with his wife Josephine. That's a pretty good summary, for what it is,
Okay.
Of course, it is the rise and fall of Napoleon Bonaparte. As you can probably guess by the title of the movie, or any trades or anything like that, or any trailers or anything like that. Highly features his wife Josephine. That is a big portion of the movie that you may or may not expect. It's kind of like referenced in the trailers, but it certainly caught me off guard how much she was involved. You can kind of tell in the trailers, but I didn't think it would be to this extent. So yeah, good summary all around. Where did we land in here, boys? Nathaniel, we saw it together.
We did.
What was that, Sunday night?
Yes.
Sunday night Dolby screening. Sunday night crew going out there, loyal Uh, what are we thinking here? We came back to your apartment.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it briefly, and your simple response to when I asked you how you thought or how you liked it was, let Ridley cook. Care to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ridley Scott and my relationship with Ridley Scott is interesting, and the Scott brothers, Tony Scott, as well too. I think they are, they're in some ways these pillars of cinema, in some ways, and they've got, he could retire off the fact he made Blade Runner and Alien alone, like he could be, hey, I'm done after that. But the guy's 85, he's still directing. He's gone through different stages in his career. At times he's kind of just a hired gun. Like he gets a script that he likes and he can bang it out in, 60 days and under budget, and like that's your guy. I think the last time I remember seeing him was The Last Duel, but then I just looked it up and he did House of Gucci in between there. Never saw that one, but again, that's
House
just
of Gucci.
House of Gucci, yeah.
House.
But that's Ridley, and he's always going to put, I think, the cinematic language first. He's never gonna, let a good story get in the way of the truth. He's always going to, give you some spectacle as well too. I think here he's battling against himself in some ways, because like I can remember the opening scene in Gladiator, and like that has a lot of emotional resonance for me in terms of like one of the first times I saw like a full-scale battle scene that I think he does in some ways references a couple times in this movie as well too. And seeing the same trick the second time is never as good, but at the same time it's still in the hands of a master, so that's pretty better than anyone else on any given day. So I think it's Ridley being Ridley. Let the man cook. You kind of know what you're in for in some ways. It's gonna look good. But he is always someone, and always has been, that his magic happens when he's paired with the right writer. And I think on this one it's a solid connection, but I'm not sure if there's like a any real magic. You got to go see this one. This thing is insane. Beyond just it's good period piece. So yeah.
I think there's a lot of things I would agree with you there. I personally, as I'm sitting there watching the movie, not loving it, loving what I'm watching, not loving how it's being presented to me more than anything. Like visually, this movie's stunning as you kind of expect, and there's nothing lacking in that regard. But I think, I don't know, there's at a certain point in a 2.5 hour movie, there's only so much that like how the film looks and that can compensate for what this film lacks, which is just a lot of the pacing's off. Just and to put it simply, it's 30 years condensed to 2.5 hours. He chose to tell the story of Bonaparte. The whole story of Bonaparte, should I say, and that's something that is very hard to do when you want to cram it into a 2.5 hour movie. In fact, it's impossible to do, and or at least I don't know if it's impossible, but it's very difficult. And so they may have to make a lot of choices here on how they wanted to tell the story, and it's clear they wanted to focus a lot on the Napoleon and Josephine storyline, or romance, which I thought worked well towards the end, but it took me a while to get on board, much longer than I wanted it to, just because I felt like it just started moving blisteringly fast to the point where
sorry
things.
About that. I accidentally bumped the sound effect there, so there's a rim shot in there.
Good. Okay, I didn't hear it, but I'm sure it fits in well.
Yeah.
But it just everything in this movie moves blisteringly fast, and things just happen, and there's not always a lot of context for why they just kind of happen. And like I said, when you are trying to cover so much time, that's kind of just what you got to accept, and you got to roll with it. so I think that's just a symptom of the type of story they decided they want to tell, is that there's no efficient way to tell this, as thoroughly as they probably wanted to, and as thoroughly as I needed it to be, to kind of fully enjoy this movie. That being said, I have sat on it for a few days now and have come away actually pretty positively on it overall. I don't think it's like this is a must watch spectacle. Catch it in theaters before it's too late, like Avatar kind of thing. But it is solid. It's really good. And enjoyed my time with it overall, I would say. Maybe not necessarily a must catch in theaters. I think you would enjoy it more in theaters than you ever would on a TV. I mean, that's how most movies are, of course, but like this is one of those movies that is probably more so enjoyable on a bigger screen. But yeah, the overall really good, I would say. Just not the actual substance of the story was just kind of thin and a little quick for my taste, at least. But the things around it in terms of the actual filmmaking quality, I think we're still top notch, and is still, as you said, it's Ridley Scott. Let him cook. He's still got that kind of eye for how things should be on screen. So with all that all of that stuff is on par. It's just the actual story itself was where I felt the movie was lacking, and a movie a lot of the times comes down to its story. If you know that's a very I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, very controversial thing to say maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
Stories are good.
Talks a while. Stories are good. Blake, Ty, where you guys landed?
Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the last person to go see, or I guess Ty saw it as well. So yeah, I mean, I went into this.
Yeah, you guys both saw it today, so
yeah, I don't
maybe fresh.
For sure. So definitely some fresh thoughts. I don't really know what expectations I went into the film with, to be honest with you. I did like The Last Duel, and I believe that's the last. Is that the last Ridley Scott film that we have? I know it's the one we have in the pod, but it's the last one that's been made.
Other than House of Gucci. House of Gucci was in between.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I didn't see that. And I like The Last Duel, so I was kind of like, okay, we'll see. And that's obviously a historical film as well. And I would say I like The Last Duel more. And I want to say that's specifically just the story that was involved in that. So kind of doubling down on what Adam's saying here. I don't know. It almost seemed like this film, and even kind of like my thoughts on it, and the more I was kind of just thinking about it, doing some research too, a lot of it seems like it's just like a series of like events from a life, opposed to like a story unfolding. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting. Obviously, Ridley Scott's got a great film mind and has done some phenomenal things, as Nathaniel said earlier. But I mean, I certainly wouldn't say this is one of my favorite Ridley Scott films. I don't think I will ever rewatch this film again, to be honest with you. That being said, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, though. He does well as the lead in this. And as somebody I would just love to see take on more roles in more of his filmography, opposed to me saying he needs to take more roles. But yeah, that's kind of my brief thoughts on there. I mean, it was okay, but yeah, long story short, I can't justify myself. Not that I think it's horrible by any means. It is more cohesive than a lot of films that we've put on here before. But just for a historical film, going back in time, doing research, I don't see where this fits if I wanted to go back to a time period piece where I'm selecting this over the huge selection of every other historical piece I can go back to. That's my thoughts.
Valid.
Tyler?
Ty?
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this one. Obviously I trust Ridley quite a bit. He's made some pretty big fan favorites of mine. The only thing that just kind of like doesn't work for me in this is Joaquin Phoenix. It's just, and it's not him as like an actor. I think it's just he's not right for a Napoleon part, and I don't know if it just pulled me out of the story a little bit or what it was, but that was probably my biggest thing. And you know, he's in the movie a lot, so it really kind of put me on the fence. So I don't think it's like poorly written or anything like that. I think everybody was doing a really good job acting. It's just that one kind of gripe. He just doesn't fit in that mold for me. And I think it just kind of threw me for a loop. I also will agree with the fact that I did not know his wife was going to play such a big part in the movie. Josephine, I think she did, the actress that played her, I think she did a phenomenal job.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yep. And that one, check. And yeah, those are just kind of like my first thoughts. I did enjoy myself. There were some times where I thought runtime wasn't necessarily deserved. You know, we talk about pacing pretty consistently throughout our podcast, and you know that's one thing that kind of plays into a really big part of the movie for us, or you know, just kind of depending on week to week. But yeah, I think those are my biggest things. Based on the fact that I am on the fence, I'm going to have to say I am a not recommend. As far as like, you don't have to like run out in the theaters and see this. I'm sure a lot of people will start to catch it when it comes to Apple TV or, you know, streaming wherever. But yeah, just, you know, meh.
I want to say really quick in regards to your Joaquin Phoenix gripes. I felt sort of the same way until I kind of just started to think about it a little bit more. And I honestly think like, because he almost like gets a little bit of an like annoying kind of like in how he's portraying Bonaparte, and I just think that's eventually intentional. I think Joaquin is such a good actor that like when you realize that like because I walked in expecting him to be playing up this role so much in a certain way in terms of like being a super buff and alpha commander or something like that, and like it's just not the performance I was expecting until I realized I don't think he wanted it to be. And so that's where like I was initially out on his performance, and you're right, it did bother me too a little bit until I kind of realized I should lean into a little bit more and realize like that is the kind of reaction he wants you to get, is like he doesn't really want you to like Napoleon, because you probably shouldn't like Napoleon. He's kind of an asshole. He's kind of, that is kind of who he was. So personally, that's how I saw it. But I totally understand and sympathize with you because I felt the same way for most of the movie.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much of like him playing his part. I think everything, you know, as far as he does, I even got like a little bit of like the Joker laugh in there at some point.
Sure.
And it's like, I get it. Like this dude was fucking insane. And so, you know, I like the way that he played Napoleon. For whatever reason, it's more of like your face. It's like your face is bothering me in this Joaquin Phoenix. Okay. I just don't like you specifically in this part. I guess is a better way to put it.
So you're not recommend Ty. I personally will probably be a recommend. Nathaniel?
Yeah, I'm a recommend, and I think you guys both hit on something as well too with this, where I think this is a movie that does kind of play with its genre a little bit, that it's leaning into kind of that historical biopic, and like, but also it doesn't really like Napoleon or think he's it's a film that's often very cruel to Napoleon, and with what it is choosing to depict and the moments it is choosing to depict in his life and everything like that. So I think there is a little bit of a reading on that, and maybe that's some of the mismarketing. Where I think this was kind of marketed as like more like a Braveheart or like a like a Gladiator or something like that. But I think Adam it hit it on the head with, I think both Ridley and Joaquin are definitely interested in playing this more pitiable Napoleon. That's very much just kind of, well, he may have been good at putting his cannons in certain locations, but just because he was the person willing to do that doesn't necessarily mean that he was the person ready to lead the country or anything like that too. So I think there is that reading of it as well too, and I think some people or some audience members are naturally going to kind of chafe against that and push back a little bit as well too. So recommend for me. I think it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, complaints on runtime or whatever. I think that's kind of, you know, what you're in for a little bit with this one. But yeah, I'm gonna recommend.
Blake, recommend?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say no. It's not horrible, right? I feel like I'm trying to save that for movies.
What a recommendation! It's not horrible.
Yeah, but like, I want to save the not recommend for like, man, this movie fucking sucks. You know what I mean?
Right,
And I simply don't think this movie's that bad.
Yeah, you got some entertainment out of it. I'm assuming, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
no spoilers, but a horse does get exploded by a cannonball. So if
yeah, that was
if that's worth the price of the ticket for you, I mean, you got that to look forward to.
And honestly, it might be. Although
it's pretty spectacular.
It was pretty jaw dropping. I think me and Nathaniel had both a bit of the same reaction. We're just like, okay, we are here. Hello, Ridley. Yeah, it was that was a definitely good shot for sure. All right. Well, no pun intended on that one either. With all that being said, then we're gonna go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen Napoleon and do not want to spoil it for you, go ahead, check the episode description where I've left the timestamp because you can jump to where you'll be taken to our ranking of the movie up upon our entropy list. Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
That was for both the shit going down and Napoleon being
the horse.
That too, just being a horny little pest of a man.
Unfortunate, right?
It was very funny. I mean, this movie is funny as well.
There is some comedy to it, dude. I don't know how much of it is intentional.
I think it's more than people think.
Maybe a little bit.
I think it's more than people think.
Probably.
Just seeing kind of like how Ridley Scott is as a human and like his kind of sense of humor as well. Mm-hmm. Like if anyone has seen any interviews with him recently, it's been amazing. Like people are asking him, you know, what do you think about Martin Scorsese not liking superhero movies? And he's like, fuck Martin Scorsese. I made 4 movies since he's made 1. Like, you know, he's out taking no prisoners at this point.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, no, he should be. I mean, I like having guys like him out there. And yeah, he can still shoot the hell of a movie, man. It's no denying that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, despite everything we said about it, this movie looks great, and you know, despite its flaws story wise, every time they cut to and I see the date, and I know we're coming up to a battle. I'm like, all right, let's go. What you got this time?
As a person that's not like super historically, I don't know that much about the Napoleonic Wars or really anything about Napoleon himself. I don't leave this movie feeling necessarily like I know that much more history about him, but I definitely leave it feeling like, well, yeah, pretty much any ruler of any country is kind of a dickhead, aren't they? And like this movie doesn't necessarily hold any punches with anyone else too, because like you do have characters from like the monarchy in Britain and like the Tsar of Russia and Austria, and you realize that all those dudes are just inbred assholes as well too. Like, and no one really cares about anyone or any of the people in their country besides, you know, at least Napoleon can say he somewhat came from the common man or anything like that. But it is an interesting thing, and just the movie going outright to depict that, yeah, no leader ever really cares that much for the common person, really.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah, who knows, right?
You sure about that?
I do say I did appreciate and the whole relationship between him and Josephine. Like I said in non-spoilers here, it wasn't until probably like pretty late into the second half of the movie, or like right around right after the second half of the movie where like I actually kind of started to be like, okay, I get what they're trying to do here. I understand it and kind of actually buy into this relationship more. Just because movie starts, they meet, they're married 2 minutes later, and then they're he's off to Egypt, and then she's cheating on him 2 minutes after that. So it's just like that. That was my issue with it, was like in a movie where you want the love story to be a crucial part of the movie, there needs to be at least a buy-in that's a little bit more impactful than what they presented. You just gotta, you can't just be like, oh hey, he met this girl and she was a prisoner, and then he likes her, and then they get married, and then that's that. It's just like, I don't know, for how important that narrative was to the story, I definitely wanted more in the outset that just convinced me a little bit more that they were actually in love. Because eventually I come around to it, and eventually I did care when they have to get divorced, and kind of like had emotions go both ways. But it just took me much longer than it should have, and I think the movie would have been a lot better, and I would have cared a lot more, especially in the first act, especially, but the first half of the movie, I would have cared a lot more about both of them if I had bought in a little bit more to that relationship.
Ty, Blake, any thoughts on that kind of point?
I think for me, the whole point of the love story was that it was really one-sided. And you just kind of see how terribly good they are for each other. And you kind of see her start to have some kind of reality of like, oh my God, my actions have consequences, when like all her shit's out in the yard. But yeah, I think it also kind of goes with the whole point that like at that point in time, the time period and where they're at as a conqueror or a queen or a king, that you are also kind of in it for yourself, regardless of where you are at on that totem pole. So I think the relationship between them is still very important. And I got the buy-in because their relationship was so demonic towards one another, or it was so one-sided that she still had control over him at certain points. And it was kind of because at the end of the day, he was still just kind of like a sadistic, horny guy who only wanted a few things. And it was very simplistic in a way. But I guess that's kind of my big brain thoughts on their relationship, and I think it really drove the story for me in a way.
Yeah, I would tend to agree a little bit more with Tyler's. I think kind of pull or reading on that as well too. I think the relationship is definitely the backbone of this movie, but I don't know to how much I was watching it feeling like I was going to be watching a romantic one, or if it was more just going to kind of be this. Yeah, there may have been romantic elements to it at a certain point, but it was also like these are the people that were going to climb to the top or kind of get to where they were, and maybe the romance part of it, or those romantic things that we've seen in other movies like this, really wasn't very realistic at all. And this is kind of like Tyler was saying, for a woman in this time period, was a much more kind of realistic view of her options and kind of how she would have to navigate going about, trying to maintain some sort of semblance or independence or a life while also being married to a psycho who's also the most powerful man in the country. So, yeah, I think that was kind of my reading as well too. But I get definitely where you're coming from as well too, Adam, on kind of the setup into it, because again, we've seen this type of movie so far. We are kind of used to those beats, and when it immediately doesn't become that, there is that kind of thing of, okay, well, where is my buy-in as a viewer? And if I'm not going to get it from this portion of the story, what else is there, kind of thing. So I think you're both kind of hitting on something correct there as well too.
We're both hitting nails.
Yeah, brah.
On the head.
Home runs. Blake, any thoughts there on the romantic relationship side of it? Because I mean, this movie really is kind of, at the end of the day, about them. We've kind of referenced that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of it is carried by the two lead performers there.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the lead did well outside of obviously Joaquin Phoenix. I do think Vanessa Kirby did pretty well, and I'm not too familiar with her. For a minute, I thought she was the same person who did I think like one of the Thor movies, but then I was like, I don't think that's the same person. I was trying to piece it together for a long time.
I forgot her name.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about too, right? It's the
I think so. Yeah,
she's like the really tall, thinner lady. She plays like the gold person in the Thor movies. Can't think of her name.
Right. I can't either, man.
But yeah, that's who I thought Vanessa Kirby was the entire time.
Yeah.
Right. So apologies, but nonetheless, I do think she did pretty good. And I would also like to see kind of some more work from her. I do think their relationship panned out well on screen. There were some times where I feel like they probably could have gone in depth with kind of their relationships and backgrounds, but I think that's just the fact that we're shoving somebody's entire life story right into like 2.5 hours. And I do think we do get some of that background from what I've been seeing, excuse me, is that there'll be a director's cut.
I've heard that as well.
Cut, and they said it's supposed to be like 4+ hours. So I think that's what you'll get a lot
4 hours
we're talking about.
Which I would watch, actually. Like that's the thing is I personally would.
To it.
I would. I was sitting there thinking, okay, this is going incredibly fast. There's clearly a lot that I'm missing to the story, and I do remember hearing going into this movie that there was going to be already a 4 hours director's cut. And as I'm sitting there, I was like, honestly, I might prefer this in a 4 hour version. Like I might like a 4 hour version of this better than the 2.5, just because I will get more out of the story and I'll get more of the actual story that they're trying to tell without it having to be so abbreviated. So yeah, this is an instance where like I felt like I could sit down and maybe watch a 4 hour cut of this.
Okay, I hear you. I think I would have to have somebody convince me that it was worth it.
Let's agree on this though. Would you rather watch a 4 hour cut of Napoleon or a 4 hour cut of Justice League?
I knew you were going with that, yeah. And I would probably lean on Napoleon. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page because yeah, I think most people could agree on that one. Let's talk about these action scenes though, dude. These battle scenes were, in my opinion, pretty top notch, dude. Up and down, every single one that they had, I was all on board. Like I said, every time they cut to one of those battle locations, I was like, all right, here we go. Did you guys have a favorite one?
I genuinely thought the initial one where they take the British fort and then use the cannons that they'd made smaller to like set fire to the ships and stuff like that, I thought was pretty cool overall. But yeah, I mean, again, Ridley still got the sweeping giant battle scene down for sure. And man, cannons suck.
Cannons suck? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
They just seem like they could just, it was one of those things of watching it as a moment as a viewer where I was like, damn, like we think like this was really kind of one of those, you could see warfare advancing through the movie itself with the different cannons and having all the people, line up and run at each other, and then they're basically just getting chewed up by these giant guns. Right. Just like, oh, okay, yeah, you can see why this.
And then eventually there's like a sniper.
Yeah. And
which is actually, I think, pretty true to the time. I mean, they had marksmans in
100%,
War, which
100%. But like, then you see how, like, you could see how, 140 years later or whatever it was, or 100 years later, why people were fighting via trenches rather than.
Right. Yeah. No, the World War I was pretty brutal. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, from that kind of thing, I think Ridley's really, really good at all of that kind of stuff. He definitely has.
Would agree.
A toolkit that he uses on there, and he's gotten pretty good at it over the years. Again, I feel personally like I think there's some scenes in Gladiator that are still better than the battles in this one. I think there's what was another Ridley Scott one that I'm just trying to think of?
Alien.
No, Kingdom of Heaven. As well too. That's a really good one. If you've never seen the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven, that's a movie that genuinely the director's cut is amazing. The theatrical cut kind of sucks. And like the director's cut is I think like 245 and theatrical is like 230 or something. But yeah. Anyways, I've talked enough about this guy. I still think it's a recommend, but maybe not top tier Ridley for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. One thing that Nathaniel and I.
This then. Oh, go ahead.
Or you go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Do you all like this more than The Last Duel? I know we were kind of iffy on that when we chatted. Okay.
I do not.
I was not iffy on Last Duel.
I like Last Duel better. Actually, that does tie into one of the things that I thought maybe, Adam, you were going to talk about more was the dialogue in this. Having everyone keep their natural accent actually kind of threw me in this one, where you do have people from different countries coming in and like British people playing Austrian people or Russian, but like at the same time, those leaders of those countries might have been related to the British people, so they could have had those accents. Like it was just one of those things where I was like, wait, where are you supposed to be from? And I'm not being able to pick it up by your accent right now. And I think that also leaned a little bit into kind of both the Joaquin and Vanessa scenes where I was just kind of like, you guys sometimes do feel like you're almost indifferent. There's not enough consistency here between the two of you. So that is one criticism I definitely had of this guy. But to your point, Blake, I would still definitely go Last Duel over this one at this point, I think. I think The Last Duel is just more interesting to me.
Strongly disagree.
I think I like that time period a little bit more, too.
This one does open up with a sick guillotine, if we're talking about executions.
It does, man. Yeah, that was fucking insane.
Yeah. That was a good opening.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't expect it to start like that.
We need more guillotine movies, folks. That's my takeaway.
Okay, well, maybe there'll be more in the 4-hour cut.
There you go.
One can hope. Yeah. All right. Do we have any other big notes we want to hit here? Can we talk about really quick what I was going to say before? Nathaniel and I couldn't stop making jokes. I think the second the movie ended, I just got up and I went.
I just
did I pick up on the mic?
No, I did not.
Oh, it didn't. I was smacking my lips as
his
Phoenix
weird
does.
Goldfish, like
his little like I'm a little I don't even know what you want to call it.
I'm Randy.
I feel uncomfortable.
His mating call.
Oh boy, that was that's wow. That's a label you could put on it. Sure. I think if you've seen the movie, you probably know what we're referencing. So yeah, that one I don't know. That was partially comedy, partially cringe. I don't know. That was an interesting choice, though.
I think that's kind of where he's wanting it to be. I think that's the line he's walking there.
Yeah. No, there's too much of that part of the character that he puts in there for it not to be intentional. So I think it's this weird thing. Like Blake and I have talked about this too. Like we have this idea of like pro sport athletes, right? Being model citizens, model community members, and that kind of thing. Every person I've ever known that's gone to be a pro athlete, or I've been like tertially like known or anything, they're all psychos. Like you have to have some sort of
I agree,
psycho gene, like to be that competitive, to have that drive, to go to those practices, and then to beat out the other 150,000 people that are going for the same role that you are. All of the dominoes going to go in your direction. Along top of that. And then I think it's the same thing when you get to world leaders or people that want to be in charge of stuff like that. Like they're all going to have some sort of weird psycho thing. And I think he's just embracing that more. And it's more kind of like one of those movies for the modern times of like saying, yeah, this dude is the one that ended up leading this revolution or leading this country after the revolution. But he was also a lunatic. I'm cool with that too.
Yeah. More lunatics.
Yeah.
Is that your campaign slogan?
No, I'm just saying recognize the lunatics for who they are, maybe. And
sure.
Maybe think about it the next time, I don't know, someone needs to vote or anything like that. Maybe.
I think we gotta cut you off there.
Who we're putting in charge of our companies? Who's the guy that's putting his hand up to run the companies and shit? If it's the one that's saying, "Yeah, I'll also point the cannons at civilians. I just want to be the one to run the country afterwards." Maybe don't pick that guy. I don't know.
Pick him.
Maybe.
Maybe that's revealing of something else about his character. I don't know.
All right. Any other big points here, gentlemen? Doesn't sound like
I think
it.
I was gone when you guys were talking about like favorite battle scenes or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been touched on, but yeah, hats off overall for just how well the movie was shot, particularly the fighting scenes. All the battles were just absolutely ridiculously well put together. The gore was awesome. I didn't think there was like too much. I thought there was like just enough, especially for that time period. Like things were just absolutely fucking brutal. And so yeah, hats off for sure to that aspect.
Yeah, out of all those things, that marksman guy seems like he's probably got the cushy spot where he just stays far enough away and just right next to the guys that always make the decisions but don't actually do anything.
Yeah.
I never got to finish or answer my own question, but I really enjoyed the first march into Russia.
Oh yeah,
where the winter fight. I thought some of the shots where they're running onto the ice were great, and obviously we see a bit of that in the trailer. But just like the whole sequence there where they followed them onto the ice, and then there's that one lead horse that's just getting chased by cannonballs, and then some great underwater shots too. And yeah, that whole sequence was fantastic.
That was genuinely one of those ones where I'm like, if I was one of those soldiers, I would be so mad.
Oh yeah,
you're just like you are, and like he talks. I think he talks about that point. Like these guys all studied me, but they're young and they're dumb, and you would feel that way if you were like the soldier who'd been around for a while or something. You're just like, this motherfucker's gonna get me killed, and then sure enough, it's the worst possible way. Not only are you being shot by cannon fire, but you're falling into a freezing cold thing in the middle of a Russian winter. Like, I'd rather get hit by the cannonball. Fuck that noise, man.
Yeah. I'm running towards the cannonballs. Yeah, I'm not going on that ice. All right. Well, I think with all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and rank this up upon our Entropy list. So welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead, throw up Napoleon on our Entropy list, our big list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. It's essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars out of 10, whatever that is. We throw up all the movies we review and see how they compare to one another. If you want to see the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking that episode description, where where it's linked to my Letterboxd. We walk out of the theater and head to the bathroom, and Nathaniel goes, "All right, Adam, this is the time where you pull out your phone, you go on Letterboxd, and you log it." I was like, all right.
We gotta build.
Didn't log it, but
gotta build that reflex, man.
I think I have a focus mode on my phone for movies, and I think I just need to like build a shortcut into the phone so that when I turn movie focus mode off, it opens up Letterboxd just automatically, and I can't get around it. And that way, it just automatically will pull it up, and I have to rank it.
So we got Last Duel, which is our last Ridley Scott, is currently occupying space 97 on the Entropy list. It is below The Conjuring 2 and above The Creator, another recent movie that we did. So what are you fellows feeling about around there? Think it's higher? Think it's lower?
I think it's lower than Last Duel, but I do think this definitely deserves to be within that realm.
Okay.
And it's really odd that that I'm gonna end up putting Ridley Scott's pretty close to each other. I will give this its kudos just is how well it's put together.
Okay.
Even though I'm a not recommend, it was really just because I'm really on the fence. Joaquin Phoenix, I just don't think is the right guy for this, and I would enjoy to see somebody who is maybe not as well known,
Sure.
potentially in there. But overall, it's not like I hated the movie. It's just that's such a big part for me, and because he's obviously in the whole fucking movie.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna be at 100.
Okay.
I'm gonna let it go past my gatekeeper, Trick or Treat, because I do think that this movie deserves it. I think that this is a good movie, but I do think Last Duel is better. So I'm gonna put it right at 100 because it's not gonna move from 100.
Sure.
I don't think so.
Adam, Blake, where's that got you guys?
I'm
What are you
still
thinking, Adam?
deliberating. I can talk this through a little bit. I think my cap is A Quiet Place at 88.
Okay.
And my floor, I think this is better than Last Duel, so I do want to put it above it. But it puts me in a weird spot where like there are some ones below Last Duel that I wouldn't like. Of course, you know, nothing's gonna be perfect here with this list. And The Conjuring 2 is like tripping, and Conjuring 2 and The Strangers are the two.
Where's
that
The
are tripping me
Conjuring
out.
2?
It's at 96.
96, right above The Last Duel. I think I'll have to put this at. I'll put this at 95, below The Strangers, above Frozen.
Okay.
Because Strangers to me is like that one's a little hard for me to get it behind. But I don't want to put it just right above Last Duel. I think it deserves to be a little bit higher than that. And Conjuring 2 and Frozen, I'm okay skipping over. So I'll put it below Strangers.
Am I last?
No, I still gotta choose mine.
All right. I'm gonna let Nathaniel cook.
All right, here's the thing, guys. Is I like this movie. I do. I don't think it's as good as Last Duel. And to be honest with you, I'm struggling to think of anything above Last Duel that I would put it above. So I think that removes it kind of below the 97. And then I started to look at other movies around there, and those are pretty much all movies I either think are I like, to I like a lot. You know, even Black Widow, that one's like we've talked about that. That's not the worst movie to me. Like I think there's fun stuff in there, and then there's things like
Florence Pugh.
Of course, Florence Pugh. There's things like The Rock, a Top Gun. You know, and then you're into Insidious. And then I get down into kind of like the Straight Outta Compton, Last Voyage of the Demeter. And the thing that's tripping me up is Blind Spotting and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles down there at 116 and 117. And if I'm really going off of rewatchability, and am I going to be seeing this again, and kind of like everything that's going with it, I think for me, I'm going to put this at 118, below Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, above Men. Like, and that's not even that I like don't like this movie or anything like that, but all of those movies in between, above it, between like that and Last Duel, I think I can see myself watching again before I watch this. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
So what's crazy is that I think so I was ballparking, right, looking at it myself. I think I'm awfully close to what Nathaniel's sitting at. First I saw The Last Duel, and as I mentioned earlier, I do like The Last Duel. A little bit more than this. Then I'm working my way down. Black Widow at 104 doesn't really sit right with me, but
Sure.
Nonetheless.
But Florence Pugh.
Yeah, but like
sorry, I've got
for sure. But I'm so tired of Marvel movies, dude.
Yeah.
And like that movie also sucks. You know what I mean? So I like that's also in the list of movies where I will never watch that movie ever again, I promise you. That's Black Widow. So I'm seeing that, then I'm like, No Time to Die. I would rather watch No Time to Die for sure than this. Just as far as rewatchability, the action, the story, how invested I was in it at the time, despite it being like 2 hours and 50 minutes. Or
it was a long one.
A long time to die, or whatever Adam said. Then working my way down, then I saw Tenet at 112, and I was like, that's one that's come around on me, right? I think I would lean on to that opposed to this. Even Straight Outta Compton's like debatable to me. But then I worked my way down to Blind Spotting and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And honestly, I really like that Teenage Mutant Ninja
It's
Turtles
good.
I do too.
movie. Yeah,
I do
man.
too.
And I like it a lot, and I can't put this movie above that. That's one of those movies where I feel like when we do our re-ranking of films, that may be one that I try to push up. I rewatched it on the plane going to Jamaica, and I just had a good time watching it. It's fun. It's a good movie, man.
Yeah,
it's a good movie, man.
Man, you guys are making me want to change my ranking. Holy crap!
Yeah, I can't put it above that in good faith. Don't really care for men.
I just don't.
So I think
maybe I shouldn't be so. Because if I wasn't so strict on wanting this above Last Duel, maybe I shouldn't let that be such a determinant. I want it on record that I want it above Last Duel, but like maybe I should, because like legitimately,
certified Last Duel hater, Adam Schwartz.
Yes, I actually certify me, please. I don't like that movie. I don't know, but then yeah.
It's gonna get pulled up anyway. So just put it where you want it, man, and then let the average decide.
Well, I do like Turtles, and I like Blind Spotting, and I like The Blackening. That's what's tripping me up is those three right there. Mm-hmm. Wait, what did you say, Ty?
He said
Turtles.
Turtles.
I said turtle.
It's a Master of Disguise reference.
I was gonna say, if anybody knows what that's from, please.
But there's ones in between there.
Why not turtle?
I just can't.
For the Turtle Club.
I just don't know if I can. Don't know if I can get behind. You know.
Don't know if you can get in it.
It's tough to get into the Turtle Club.
Where was your final ranking, Blake?
I think I said at 118.
That's same as me.
You said 118.
Below Teenage Mutant Mayhem.
Nathaniel, you said you were also at 118.
I am.
Ty, where were you at?
A Hondo.
Man.
Do it.
Lower it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying pick.
Yeah, I do need to pick, don't I? You know what? I made a decision. I'll stick with it. I'll keep it where I said at 95.
Boom.
I wasn't planning on being the highest person by so much.
Ridley cook.
And he cooks down to an average rating of 107.75, meaning we tie break it with Independence Day. I'm good with it being. Actually, I don't know, above or below, guys.
It's Independence Day, you said?
Yeah.
Original Independence Day?
Yeah.
OG. Is there
another
one?
Yeah.
Oh, there is another one.
We're going iconic first.
it.
I don't see this being iconic.
No.
Below
Independence Day. I'm pretty indifferent. I can go either way.
You don't have Randy Quaid saying he's back. You don't get to go above it. I'm sorry.
You know what? Just for that one speech.
And Welcome to Earth.
And Will Smith. And Will Smith. Okay, yeah. Actually, Napoleon below Independence Day.
They have.
Are we good with that?
You think you're so good because you have so many boats is not as good as Welcome to Earth.
You know, that is pretty good, though. That shit was pretty good, though. I was cracking up. I think you're so good because you have boats. All right. So Napoleon.
I like to imagine that script meeting. Joaquin's like, "Can I at least say ships?" Ridley's like, "No, it's boats, Joaquin.
Boats.
it's boats." Read it as it's written.
Napoleon at 108 then? Below Independence Day?
Yeah.
Cool. That's it. That's the ranking. Napoleon lands 108, below Independence Day, and above Top Gun 86. Next week's review. It is Nathaniel's B-Day pick. Nathaniel's birthday is not next week. However, your birthday is the 13th, right?
That's true.
The 13th.
Who am I
We're
getting?
doing other movies.
Who am I getting pushed out by?
We haven't decided yet.
Mm.
It's one of two new movies. There's a new Miyazaki,
Mm.
and then there's a Willem Dafoe. If we do that Willem Dafoe movie, I think that certifies him as #1 actor featured on the entry list. I think it has to, because that's 6 or 7 at this point. And that's a high clip.
The Yorgos Lanthimos.
We're between Poor Things and The Boy and the Heron. I wasn't trying to give listeners the inside scoop and the behind the scenes. But bit of sizzle. Those are the two movies we're between. We haven't decided yet. Don't make any plans. Don't buy your tickets yet.
Well, if they want to vote, they can email in.
Or yeah, if you have an opinion, send us a tweet, write us an email. That works too. But for next week, because Nathaniel is getting booted by those two movies, his birthday pick is going to be a week early. Meaning, we're watching. What are we watching, Nathaniel?
Oh, brother, where art thou?
Oh, brother, where art thou? Another Coen Brothers film.
That's right. Probably my fave. This one I think is actually...
Really?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go on record with saying I think this is probably my favorite Coen Brothers movie.
Interesting. It's been a Coen Brothers month for me then, because we did Big Lebowski.
True.
And then I just watched Burn After Reading.
Yep.
And now I'll be watching this. That's 3 in a month. That's
you're almost getting a Clooney trifecta. He's not in obviously in
what's the other one?
Big Lebowski. He's in Oh Brother.
Well, no. Yeah. Okay. Cool. But then, is there a third one I need to watch for him?
No, I was saying if he was in Big Lebowski,
I see.
then it would be.
I see.
And then I think John Goodman's not in. He's not in Burn After Reading, is he? So
he's not. Is he in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
He is in Oh Brother. Yeah. So.
Oh. Okay.
Got that.
I'll stay tuned. Is there a movie where they are together? Because I feel like I'm obligated to watch that.
Oh Brother.
After.
I mean, they're both in Oh Brother.
Yeah. Oh wait, so okay, I'm completing then a little trifecta for them then.
With right, those guys, yeah.
That was a long tangent. That just didn't need to be one.
That's true.
But anyway, watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's streaming anywhere from what I saw. Maybe do your own research, and maybe you're a better journalist than I am and can find it. But from where I was seeing, it's only available for rent.
It honestly,
you know what? Maybe I should.
It might be one of those ones that's just like free on YouTube as well too. Just search it, folks. You'll be able to find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. Also, do I need to? My dad gets mad at me. He goes, "When you say it's not available for streaming, that makes me think I can't rent it." For me, and maybe this is a zillennial thing. You know, us zillennials. Maybe it's me, but when I'm saying for this segment, when I'm saying it's not available for streaming anywhere, I mean Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, HBO. I don't necessarily mean you can't stream it via the internet, because I just assume nowadays all movies are available for streaming via the internet somewhere, usually just available to rent. When I say it's not available for streaming, I mean with a subscription to a streaming service.
Yeah.
But maybe I should start clarifying. I don't know. It could just be, my zillennial.
I'll go on record
shenanigans
and say that the $3.50 or whatever it is to rent Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is worth it. So find out.
Right in, listeners. Nathaniel has offered to pay for all of your rentals.
That is not at all what I said. I think if you'll run back the tape there, but
nope, that is what I heard. And Nathaniel, you owe me $4.
If you do, I have some cryptocurrency to sell you. It's Nathaniel coin. It goes directly in my pocket.
Hey.
And
what's that worth right now?
You'll get a nice certificate of maybe authenticity, or maybe it won't be. Who knows? That's for you to decide.
Okay. What time are we? Do we want to do a quick while we're watching, or you guys want to call it? It's a little late.
It's up to you.
We're a little late here.
I'm chill.
Everyone want to do a one thing and we're done?
I don't even know one thing. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, whatever you get on.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Nathaniel, what's been one thing you've been watching?
What did I get to today? I watched something. Hold on, let me pull up the Letterboxd. I watched the movie The Invitation. That was the horror Dracula marriage movie that came out, I think, earlier this year, or maybe late last year. That's on Netflix. It's decent. The other thing that I got to that was actually good though was sorry, this is two things, but there's a movie called Coma. It came out, I want to say like 1970s or something like that. Let me pull it up here. It is directed by Michael Crichton. If you know the name, you probably know him from his writing. He wrote Jurassic Park. He wrote Timeline. He was a big writer or creator on the TV series ER. He also wrote The Andromeda Strain, Congo. A lot of like movies in the 70s and books that got turned into movies in the 70s. A lot of times kind of dealing with technology or the medical field or something like that, because he also went to med school as well. And that influenced his writing a lot. So this movie, Coma, came out in 1978. It stars Michael Douglas and Genevieve Bujold, I believe. It's actually directed by Michael Crichton, and it is about this hospital and in Boston where one of the doctors starts to notice that a lot of healthy people seem to be going into comas, and trying to find out maybe why that is happening and what the whole reason for it happening would be. And it's a cool kind of conspiracy thriller medical world that truly is one of those, like, we don't get these anymore kind of movies. Michael Douglas is obviously awesome.
Like a Contagion?
No, not as like as much Contagion as I would say. Like no, not even in those veins, because those are more like hey, there's this thing in the world that's happening to you, and like now you have to rely on the medical community to save you. This is much more like, hey, here's part of what running a business in the medical community is certainly like, and like how that might be exploited, and more of that kind of thing. So this one won't freak you out in terms of maybe what could happen to you. It will freak you out in terms of like, oh, this could actually be happening, and people would have no real idea kind of behind it as well too. So yeah.
Are there any vaccines in this movie, Nathaniel?
No, there are no vaccines. No.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about that. I don't know where you would be able to stream it through one of the normal streaming services. I actually found a Blu-ray copy of this, kind of on a recommendation from my mom, and because I like Michael Crichton a lot.
Shout out Mrs. Gingrich.
Shout out Mama Gingrich. But yeah, would recommend, if you ever get a chance, check out Coma. It's a freaky little movie. I think it's well worth. I think it's like an hour and a half, hour 45, if you can either find a copy or find a streaming it somewhere. So recommend.
Cool.
Tyler, Blake, what you guys been watching? Blake, I assume on your plane flight you got to Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I did. So that was one of the movies that came with American Airlines. So I watched that. Like I said, second watch. Honestly, I liked it more on second watch, man. I think just going back to rewatch that, it's like stamped that I could not put this film above that. Where I'm not gonna say with context, I'm certainly not gonna say I liked it as much as Spider-Man.
Sure.
Right. But it was one of those where I was like, man, I'm having a lot of fun. So I mean that is one. Take my ranking of whatever I gave that, and I would push that up a significant amount of spots, I would say. I finished The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, you did? Did you like it?
Yeah. I did. Not my favorite Flanagan joint though. Haunting of Hill House is a masterpiece.
Sure.
But I did like it. I think I'm gonna go back and try to watch Midnight Mass, and
I definitely want you to check out Midnight Mass. I think that of the two that'll be the one that you would like for sure.
Okay. So yeah, I got a few episodes into that. Bly Manor, got close to finishing it, and then it was just too slow for me. So I do want to go back and watch Midnight Mass. But yeah, the Fall of the House of Usher, I like it a lot. Mike Flanagan just has a great vision of horror or portrayal of ghost, usage of like characters passing by in like negative space and always seeing ghosts behind people and shoulders. He's fucking awesome for shit like that.
What,
and, second to none.
As non-spoilery as we can be, what did you think of kind of the final two kills? I'll try and say the one with the bricks and then the one with the gemstones as well too. Did you think those kind of lived up to what they built, the build up on those ones?
Yeah, not my favorite kill though.
Okay.
I do think that's tough. Favorite kill. I'll tell you my least favorite kill. I'll put it this way. My least favorite one is the one with the cat.
Okay.
Like the
fair enough.
possessed
Fair
cat.
enough. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't care for that one at all. That seemed just like a little. It's like PG-13, like teen horror tacky.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the episodes and how all the other character development fleshed out.
Okay.
I would pretty much heavily stand on that one. Favorite one is it's really tough. I do like the two biological children. So the daughter with the mirrors. I do like that one. That was pretty good, and she's got just a weird character for development. I think she was one of the more interesting characters between her and obviously the biological son.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess that's how I would lean on that. Did you have a favorite kill?
To be honest, I like them all. Like I said, I think I talked about it on the pod, and maybe you and I talked a little bit before. Like Edgar Allan Poe is definitely one of those writers for me. Like growing up and like becoming more of a horror fan. Like you kind of go through your Poe period, and I very much enjoyed a lot of those, and like that was a lot of like my first introduction to scary stuff as well too. So I think
Poe period.
Poe period. Yep, that's right.
Sorry, just had to say it.
Try it out. Test it for listeners at home. Test it out for yourself.
Listeners at home, it's fun.
Yeah, give yourself a little time. Poe period. There you go.
Poe period.
And yeah, it's just I think I have a soft spot for it there for sure. It's definitely I think my second favorite Flanagan series after Hill House for sure.
Okay, fair.
In terms of favorite kill, maybe I really like the heart one. The heart one's cool.
Okay, yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it through and through, and I don't want to say that I don't like it just because of the cat sequence that I was. That
for
was
sure.
My least favorite episode, but I still did like it. We'll chat about that either through text or whatnot.
For sure.
Another thing I did get to though, I ended up texting you when I was staying at the hotel, and
oh yeah, okay.
I did get to When Evil Lurks.
Yes.
So that's one that's been popping up in the horror community, Reddit. When Evil Lurks is an Argentine horror film. I can't think of the gentleman's name. I hate that I don't have it pulled up right now in front of me. But he's also made Terrified. Not Terrifier, different movie. But Terrified came out a few years back that got a lot of pub and people kind of big on it. So I think I want to go back and rewatch that. But I watched When Evil Lurks the other day, and
the director's name is,
I would say, the best horror movie I've seen this year for sure.
His name is Damian Rugna.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, Damian put together a great work of art. I mean, that is, I would say, by far and away the best.
Now you said it was a little bit like The Wailing, but like kind of a little tighter, huh?
It seemed like it, and I haven't seen The Wailing. That's just from what I understand of it to be, speaking to you.
For sure.
Forum chats and things of that nature.
For sure.
So I think it's kind of a mix of that. It's to its core, When Evil Lurks is a possession film. But so how possessions work and that culture is a little different than what we're used to seeing in Western society.
Okay.
So it's that's
as explored in The Exorcist, The Believer,
or Evil Dead.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So the apples, like these two movies, When Evil Lurks is
gonna
infinitely
knock it out of the park.
Superior.
I don't know, dude. That second Exorcist had some things going for it.
Yeah, man, it's good though. I would recommend anybody to watch it. Obviously, it's all in subtitles, so you will have to commit to it. But yeah, it's dark, it's gruesome. There are some things that I would say there are some character choices that aren't the greatest, but that usually happens in horror movies to carry the plot, right? So you do have to kind of suspend some disbelief in regards to that. But there's a few things in there where you're watching. I understand what's at stake here, and like there's nobody or nothing that is like written off, like animals, children, all type of shit. You know what I mean? So it's good. It's good. I'd recommend it to anyone. Not for the weak stomach though. I don't know if Adam would like it.
Probably not.
But yeah, that's all I've done
too. Ty?
I will just for sake of not really tracking everything that I watch all the time, the Grand Prix, the last Grand Prix of the season.
Sure. Abu Dhabi.
That was
yeah. How was that?
It was good. Max won.
Shocker.
Imagine that.
No way.
He's pretty good at that racing thing.
I heard I heard Yuki led the race at one point.
We did. Yeah, and it was cool because the AlphaTauri principal is retiring.
Oh, that is cool. Good for him.
Oh, no,
And
Pierre
he had a
Gasly.
lot to do with.
He's going to be like bottom of the pack now. That's his boy.
The principal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he's been gone for a while now.
out.
He's on Alpine, isn't he?
Yeah. I was a little confused where that correlation was.
Sorry, my bad.
But I follow now. You're good.
But yeah, that's what I got around to over the weekend. And obviously some football.
There you go.
And shout out Green Bay for beating Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving for Tyler. Adam, what you been watching?
Shout out. Suits. Still.
Suits.
Yeah, it's one of those shows like I've had such a long couple weeks where I'm just turn the brain off, turn Suits on, and let's just watch people yell at each other. It's fun. I also recently caved and I invested in NBA League Pass.
Oh.
So now I can watch basketball all day, every day. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing yet. But yeah, so I only bought that a few nights ago, but I've been watching NBA, and that's been fun. I mean, the game's streaming quality is incredible. I'm so used to like getting it off of like the bootleg websites that I'm like, oh wow, I can actually read their names. So streaming quality is great. Sucks I can't watch the Bulls games. That seems very backwards. But yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far. And it's not that expensive compared to like NFL Sunday Ticket, which is like $500 for the season.
Holy crap.
League Pass is on. Yeah, NFL Sunday Ticket's like $400 or $500, I think, for the entire season.
Damn.
League Pass is like $100 for a year. So and they have a $150 ad-free subscription that you can do. So relatively inexpensive compared to NFL. So I was like, you know what? I've been doing fantasy basketball for now 2 years, and I'm in 3 leagues, and this year somehow, and just a little bit more invested now than I've been before. So I'm like, why not? Let me watch some basketball. So yeah, I've been enjoying that, and it's nice. Like also a thing where I can just turn my brain off and just like I have something on in the background. I love that, and usually when like there are other sports going on, like baseball or whatever, like I can put the Cubs game on or some other game on. But now like I can just have a basketball game on and I will be content to have that on in the background. So yeah, enjoying that. Fun NBA start the season. Any of you guys been watching? Blake, I know you're a little bit into the NBA, right?
Yeah, no, I watch a decent amount of NBA for sure. It would be NFL, college football, then NBA would be the top 3 sports I watch. Yeah. So I've followed a decent amount. Certainly haven't seen a Bulls game this year.
Why would you? You're not missing much.
Yeah, but like regular season NBA, I can definitely watch primetime games. I'll watch the Lakers, LeBron, of course, and I'll watch any of the I guess like more competitive teams who are chasing a championship. Right, I can turn on those games once the NFL season is over. Then I can pretty much watch any NBA game.
There you go.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've been getting more into the NBA the past 2 or 3 years, and it's been fun.
It's good, man. It's way better than college basketball. Like, I don't know.
You know what?
I understand how you
around.
watch college basketball because you were in college at the time.
Yeah.
But, like, being an adult and watching college basketball, comparing it to the NBA is, like, mind-blowing, dude. The shot selection is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I can't. This is obviously not me speaking from experience. I can't play college basketball. Never did. Never had the chance. But like the shot selection is terrible, the shooting percentage is terrible. It's just not a good product to watch compared to
I mean, good college basketball is kind of fun to watch, but there's not a ton of good college basketball because there's just such a high volume of players. Yeah, fair enough. I will stand by. I do think March Madness is one of the best sporting events of the year. if not the best. That I stand by. Love March Madness.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. Are we gonna get out of here? I think so.
Yeah, I'm fading.
I am too, man. 5-star review, Nathaniel.
No 5-star review.
Actually, let's just skip over it. Who cares?
Yep.
Who cares? If leave us a 5-star review, we'll read it on pod next week when it's not late. And we're not all exhausted. Follow us on Twitter. Share the podcast. Share with a friend, a family member, a commander, general, monarch, oligarch. What else was he?
Or his wife.
Asshole. I don't know. Or his wife. Yes, one of the two. Share with any of those people that you may know. Let them know you have a fun podcast you like to listen to, and that they might like it as well. Because I think they would. And then while you're at it, follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod. Our YouTube is just Back Row Banter, and our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com if you want to let us know any extra stuff, whatever that might be. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things. I do my thoughts on Napoleon. PlayStation, Mr. Watercooler, Xbox, Mr. Watercooler. I'm now playing MK1 a decent amount.
Oh boy.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to finish the story. But yeah, MK1 it's grown on me a lot. It was tough. The learning curve is there. But like once I started playing it, I'm pretty confident. So I think I'll probably look at trying to pick up a second character eventually. So yeah, PSN, Mr. Watercoolers, Xbox, Mr. Watercoolers, Instagram, Mr. Watercoolers. Yeah, we'll go Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @and. You can find me on Instagram, Nathaniel G92, Sandpiper Today's other podcast. Tyler?
Instagram, Letterboxd, X, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES.
You can find me on Twitter at H24 and on Letterboxd at H. That's AYYSH. That's going to do it here for episode 170, guys. Nice even round number there. Episode 170 Napoleon review. Join us next week. Or thank you all for listening, especially if you've made it this far into the episode. We really do appreciate it, and you're my favorite type of listener. Join us next week for our review of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we'll BRB.
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your support, and keep passing on love, and we will BRB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. We wouldn't be able to continue the podcast without you. We'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
So yeah, that's gonna be my pick. Figure it out, boys. Rent it, buy it. I don't care. It's my birthday.
For sure.
It's on the rentals.
Of course, like next week afterwards, it'll just be back on like HBO or some shit like that, obviously.
Yeah, right. That's how it goes.
It's going to be on Peacock.
Could be on Peacock. Who knows?
I love me some Peacock.
I feel like that's got to be like on Tubi, man.
I've
That's
got to
like
get Peacock eventually.
prime Tubi.
And you get sports on Peacock, right?
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I gotta.
Well, I don't know, dude. They keep raising the prices of these subscriptions.
Dude, they just raised Netflix again like 2 weeks ago.
And Apple TV just raised theirs from 6 to 10.
I'll be
Oh,
honest
see,
with
I
you,
don't have
boys.
Apple- I
Like
don't have Apple TV.
Netflix could be at like $70 a month at this point. I have no idea. I never check that shit anymore. I just assume it's going up by 50 cents every time I look at it.
I don't pay
Yeah.
for it, so
I just get the emails, but they're not pleasant to read. I'll tell you that much.
well, they do it like twice a year. It feels like they're always upping it.
It's true.
Feels like they've increased it like 6 times in the past 3 or 4 years.
Mine's always in the one bulk billing as well too, because I just get it out of the way at the time. So it's also one of those things where
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh well, there's another 150 or whatever went out. To
Okay,
fucking
I got
Disney.
that. May be smart. Maybe I should look into doing that myself.
Yeah, but that also stresses me out.
Yeah, you don't have big boy money yet. Once you will, it's when it's different.
No, I smoke.
Amazon is way there though, right?
Yeah, he's working.
We're trying, man. We're trying.
But I do think that's the better idea. Just pay the fucking 180 or whatever and never look at it again. That's how I do my music from Tidal. I just buy it in a year.
You're the only person I know on Tidal, by the way.
Tidal's awesome, dude. I don't know if they've changed it for Apple Music and Spotify, but like going back years back on Tidal, dude, you always got like album credits for each track. You'd see like producer, artist, composer, engineer. You'd see a ton of shit like that. I don't know if they've upgraded Apple Music to have that type of stuff.
I think they have it in some form, but Tidal's still the one for music heads in a lot of ways.
It's so good.
True audiophiles use Tidal, I think, now points. But I know Apple Music's at least like up there in some of it, in some ways too, because I think they were getting their butts kicked by Spotify.
But, so you think Spotify has the largest user base?
Oh yeah, at this point,
for sure. That makes sense.
Because their big thing was the playlists.
Exactly. It's like basically you can also get a free one that's like Pandora, damn near.
Yeah, I mean Pandora is very similar as well too. But Pandora's quality.
Spotify had my entire generation.
Yep.
What do you use, Adam? Spotify?
I'm on Spotify. I was a true Spotify stan. Like I really defended them up until about a year ago, and then I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should try Apple Music. I have not yet, but I'm no longer a staunch defender of Spotify. I don't think they've done much for me in the past few years where I'm like that committed to them anymore. For a while, I was like, this is, how does it get better? And now it's just kind of been like, y'all just keep it at here, and like that's fine. But I don't know, maybe I've thought about trying out Apple Music instead. Because, like, I don't know, everything else I have is Apple, and all their subscriptions are great. Like, maybe Apple Music is actually the wave. Like, I don't know. And then you say Tidal, and I'm like, well, I haven't thought about Tidal since, the whole Kanye, Donda's on Tidal first or whatever album that was. But I don't know. I don't feel like I need Tidal. I'm not, like, that dedicated to, like you said, producer credits, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Right.
So, if I would just switch, it'd be to Apple Music, but I don't know. I don't know if I really want to. I'm kind of just content on Spotify. I also switched at least most of my podcasts to Spotify, which has kind of been nice because now just podcasts and music is all in one place. But then sometimes it's not. But then I'm also like, maybe I don't want that now because I've done that. I've been on Spotify with my podcast for about 1.5 years now, maybe 2 years, and now sometimes I'm like, well, actually, it would be kind of nice to have them separate. So I don't know. I kind of messed up.
I use Spotify for my podcast. I never open Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, that app sucks. You know what? I was on Apple Podcasts for a long time, and that app is just pretty bad.
I think they just redesigned
and I only use it for one podcast that I subscribe to on Patreon, and their RSS feed for their Patreon, if I want it in audio form, they don't have. As far as the last time I checked, they didn't have a Spotify one, so I have to get it on Apple Podcasts. Maybe I haven't checked that in a while. I should see if I can get on Spotify.
They just
it's been a while since I checked that.
Just did a redesign on the Apple Podcast app too, on the new update.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would have never guessed. Does it look any better?
I've used it since the new update. It's not that much better. Am I tripping?
I don't know. I didn't have any issues with it to begin with, so.
So it's not as big as the
I see
Amazon Prime update.
It's different. It's still.
Remember that like 1.5 years ago?
Yeah. No, that was
fucking horrible.
Yeah, Prime's still. That's still a better update. Prime's still kind of dog shit though.
Prime is kind of dog shit. Glad we're all on the same page on that.